Hello everybody, I'm Patrick Vincent, the founder of Burning Media, and in this video we will be going over a new study that shows us that the United States isn't actually promoting democracy as it always claims it is. It apparently gives 70% of the dictators of the world military aid. Now, on top of that, let's go over a few little quick facts before we get into this full article. Now, three-fourths of the world's dictators currently are receiving U.S. military assistance, and also a U.S. Harvard professor, Stephen M. Walt, noted that most of the U.S. Democracy promotion efforts actually fail, which shouldn't be a shocker to anybody that actually follows the U.S. foreign policy. Now, on top of that, one-fourth of the world's democracies, have degraded in the last 30 years. Now, think about that when we've been also providing military assistance to 36 of the world's 49 dictators. In other words, 73% of the world's dictators are getting military assistance from us, who we apparently are invading other countries to liberate them and help them find freedom. Yet, we are helping dictators who do not support freedom. So, let's dive into this article. So, by the numbers, U.S. backs 3 of every 4 dictators. Rich Whitney, an attorney and writer, sought to compare Freedom House's rating system of political rights for 2015 to the U.S. government's provision of military assistance, military training, military aid, and weapon sales to foreign nations that same year. Now, Whitney's stated goal was to determine whether the U.S. government actually opposes dictatorships and champions democracy at a global level, as is often is claimed. Now, his independent analysis found that the U.S. has actually manifested the opposite of its stated intentions by providing military assistance to 36 of the world's 49 dictatorships. In other words, more than 73% of the world's dictatorships are currently receiving military assistance from the United States, thanks to our tax money. Anyways, like, our foreign policy is this big jumble. We just see these constant confrontations and conflictions of our interests, is in Syria and so forth. So it's just another baffling thing. So with just that, in 2015, as this started off with their research, we saw that we were spending $1.7 trillion on the war on terror. Just from the beginning of the war on terror until 2015. So that's a huge amount of money that we've just spent on war, and let alone we've been doing this with some of the largest supporters of extremist views, Saudi Arabia. So that's another problem we have. We keep seeing the United States, no matter if it's a Republican, a Democrat, it doesn't matter. They're still selling arms deals to the Saudis. And they, once again, time after time, back extremist views. They enforce some of the strictest extremist views. They're the head of the UN's Human Rights Councils, yet they execute atheist gays and so forth. They just finally let women drive. That's good. That's good. It's good to know that the people of the Human Rights Committee know exactly what they're talking about and how to treat people properly. It's really good that they're accepting, nice, kind-hearted people. Thank you. But, so, from there on, you see, we have more. The dictatorships. We see, for his analysis, Whitney used a commonly accepted definition for dictatorship: a system of government in which one person or a small group possesses absolute state power, thereby directing all national policies and major acts, leaving the people powerless to alter those decisions or replace those in power by any method of short of revolution or coup. He chose Freedom House's Freedom in the World of annual reports, citing it as the best source for a comprehensive list of dictatorships and free societies. Whitney, however, noted that the obstinately independent organization has a pro-U.S. ruling class bias. Freedom House's bias makes the results of Whitney's analysis even more damning. The organization is funded by a combination of Western government and non-governmental sources, including the George Soros-funded Open Society Foundations. Thus, its boys and girls, this is going to be a good one. Organization sources, including the George Soros-funded Open Society Foundations. Thus, its categorization of nations as dictatorships or as free societies is largely anonymous to the U.S. State Department classifies such nations, meaning the U.S. monetary support of such dictatorships is knowing and willful reduction of democracy promotion abroad. Now, to continue on here, as we can see, circumstances change, but justification remains the same. Now, through this analysis of the government's own data and the data from the pro-Western think tank has revealed in the U.S. far-reaching support for dictatorships around the world, such a revelation is unlikely to change anything about the U.S.'s long-standing modest opportunity for, of course, U.S. support for dictators in nothing new, many Cold War era dictators. It froze up. Technology. Cold War era dictators, particularly in Latin America and Asia, were installed and backed with the full U.S. government support, despite their deep petition in order to allow the U.S. to contain communism and Soviet influence. Democracy promotion was never the true intent of the United States, but instead the disguise to mask the imperial conquest of nations that refused to the U.S. government's demands. Shocking. Sound familiar? So, for the reason the notable military interventions of recent decades, for example, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, were sold to the U.S. public as being born out of the need to restore democracy and wrest control from evil dictators. We're not bringing them freedom. We're killing their innocent civilians. We're leveling hospitals, schools. We're bombing schools. Hell yeah, we are. America. We're bombing the shit out of schools. Innocent civilians? Fuck them. That's how we see it, right? We don't talk about that on the news. We don't talk about all the innocent civilians we kill right here. So we ran out of bombs while bombing Syria also. In Iraq and Syria, of all weapons, 22,100. Oh my gosh, I am out of control. 22,110 bombs were dropped in Iraq and Syria. In Afghanistan, we saw 947 bombs dropped. Pakistan, we saw 11. Yemen, 58. And then Somalia, 18. So the overall bombs dropped was 23,144 bombs dropped. Now that's a nice little bump. So President Obama did reduce the number of U.S. soldiers fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq, remind you, but he dramatically expanded the air wars and the use of special operations forces around the globe. Now, in 2016, U.S. special operators could be found in about 70% of the world's 138 countries. I am sorry. A staggering jump of 130% since the Bush days. So that's comforting. Change, hope and change. Remember that. Did he bring any of that hope and change? Did he help anything? Did he tackle the private prison complex? Did he tackle the military industrial complex? Did he tackle Wall Street? Did he help the crippling middle class? What did he do to help us? Yeah, that's what I'd like. Looking back, it was okay. People liked Obama because he didn't present himself the way Donnie does, but he also had a higher education and understanding of politics than Donnie had. So that's just a few other things right there. Now let's get to the deaths. This is an older one. So we'll go over this. The U.S. says its bombs have caused 55 civilian deaths since the coalition air war against ISIS was launched 2 years ago. Just 55 is what they claim. But, obviously that's wrong because campaign groups thanks to them, like the groups like Amnesty and Air Wars, say the real total is at least 10 times that number and could be far higher. So here we have from 2016. Well, no, actually, this starts from 2014. We'll go from December's. So we saw here August 2014, November, 2014, a little over 100 civilians were killed by U.S. Coalition airstrikes. Now, 2015's highest peak was April, where we saw about 150 civilians killed by U.S.-led coalition airstrikes. And then we have next up, September was 300. 300 civilians were killed in September of 2015. Then we see January, the highest one of 2016 was July, with a little under 250 civilians killed, thanks to this graph here from The Guardian, but the source was also from airwars.org. So make sure to check that out. But it's just mind-boggling how we claim to be helping these countries escape from evil dictators by then installing our own puppets, and just the regime change has never worked in our favor. It has never worked in our favor one single time, and it continues to topple over, and just punch us right back in the face. So it's just something we'll never learn from. I hope we do, because it's something we need to get away from. We need to invest the money that we're putting into the military complex into, infrastructure and schooling. That would be fantastic, because we have, a D- infrastructure rating right now. That's fantastic. We have an infrastructure rating of a third world country, and yet we are supposed to be one of the best countries in the world. We're supposed to be the leaders of the free world, but I don't see that anywhere. So it's mind-boggling, really. The dictators supporting dictators. It's I guess it makes sense, since this current president also hasn't said anything really about police brutality. We've seen 703 people killed already by police this year. I mean, ourselves, we might be just heading for a dictatorship and just not know about it. Totalitarian? Maybe. Who knows? I guess we'll see how long we last for these 4 years and see what the outcome is through these decisions we made this last election. Hello everybody, I'm Patrick Vincent, the founder of Burning Media. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to press that like button, and if it's your first time being here, make sure to hit that subscribe button also. And if you haven't already, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram account, and also become a Patreon on our Patreon account for $5 a month and unlock unlimited exclusive videos from us. Once again, we couldn't have built this green screen room without your donations. Thank you so much for helping build this website, this media site, and so forth. So, until next time, stay beautiful and stay woke. I'll see you on the other side.